Svana took up the scroll and wound the wooden spools to read. Environment. Nurture. Application. Externalities of Behavior. Expanded temporal scope. The child is new to the world and may only internalize a limited experience. It is upon the adult to consider its import in the present as well as its role within an expanded temporal scope. The development of the comprehension of principle comes about through the expansion of the temporal term applied. Principles represent the recognition of patterns that may or may not be evident in the short term, but which arise consistently in the long term. Principles are the fundamentals on which rules must be based. Principles are not apparent in the absence of an expanded set of consideration. Rules must change to the extent manifested circumstances change over time. Rules are the expression of applied principles. They are specific to circumstance. Through consideration of an extended temporal scope, principles crystallize in form. Recognition of an expanded temporal scope requires a consideration of the retained potential within the environment, the retained potential within the innate existence of the individual, and the retained potential within the subjective intent of the individual. Consideration of an extended scope realizes the necessity for strength and agility to be maintained in body and in mind. It recognizes the necessity for discipline to be employed in the maintenance of security. It recognizes the necessity for rigor to be employed in the trampling of that which would undermine the precarious balance that allows the benefit of contemplative existence. The context of the child is the present. The child lives an innate existence, but the child quickly develops subjective reflective awareness. Subjective reflective awareness, without objective guidance, allows a magnified import in the present of intent that is untempered by principle. The adult must employ rules, guidelines, to prevent the import of that intent into the environment. The adult must be the child's rational faculty until the child can employ its own. The child's ability to consider an expanded temporal scope develops as the child masters its immediate environment. The sooner the child is conditioned to be able to master its immediate environment, the sooner it is able to consider that environment in the context of the passage of time, in the context of what changes more over time, and in the context of what changes less over time. Then the child may begin to recognize, through consideration and learning, and through consideration and experience, the patterns that give rise to the principles by which its parents set the rules that govern the family, the principles by which the community governs families, the principles by which the state governs communities, the principles by which generations of forebears developed the framework of states, the principles by which frameworks were conceived in recognition of the innate understanding of millions of years in development.